Welcome to the application content for our study on Ephesians 4 with the whole body ministry. It finished on verse 16 where Paul said, "From him the whole body, joined and held together by every supporting ligament, grows and builds itself up in love as each part does its work." Key thing they're saying, the body of Christ grows itself up. It self-fuels. And that's not taking away from the fact that Jesus said, "I will build my church." It's saying that the grace gifts coming in, Jesus working through us and all of us working together, the church will grow as everyone does their own work. In other words, we need every hand, every elbow, every ear, every nose doing what it needs to do. Otherwise, the body is truncated and we're not fulfilling all that we have to do. Okay, so a few application questions for you to deal with in your group time or in your personal study. The first one is just really to reflect back on your own life and ask the question, where have you experienced God's grace working in you to do what you couldn't do alone? What that's saying is, what does it look like when God's grace has come through my life and I've seen him bear fruit that only he can bear? Now, you may, in all honesty, be struggling to find an answer to that. You may not be able to look back and go, well, I haven't seen obvious fruit, spiritual giftings, God's power working through my life. Well, let's just call it out. That's the starting point because we all start there. And so even if we can't remember that sort of time, it doesn't mean that our future is going to reflect the same. It just gives us permission to say, this is where my first step begins. And I'm beginning from a place of accurate knowledge to say, well, this is going to be my first step. My next step is my first step. And so this might be in all sorts of areas too. We're talking about God's grace through something like mercy, hospitality, care, teaching, praying for someone. It could be all sorts of things. The sorts of things that Jesus would do if Jesus was you. And so that can take all sorts of shapes and sizes. Second question, is there an area where other people have told you that you're gifted? This is much better than putting a label on yourself and doing your own spiritual gift profile. It's just asking someone else, have you ever seen God work through me? What did it look like? What made you say that? What sort of fruit are you talking about there? And you'll find people are very free and open to reflect back to us where they believe God uses us in the whole work of him building his church. And so do that, particularly in a small group environment. Question number 3, what's actually stopping you from developing your gift, and how could you lift the lid on that gift in your life? So what can you do today to begin growing, to make space in your life that God can fill in a bigger way? Would it look like an upgrade, a bigger challenge in what you're doing something new, practicing, learning? What would it look like for you to take your next steps? Because as we grow our faith, we make more space for grace to work through our life. Romans 12:6, use your gift in proportion to your faith. And so this takes practice. And so what can you be doing to grow that in your life and do it intentionally? It's part of your calling to be who God's called you to be. So enjoy working that through. I think you'll have some great responses to that. And I'd love to get your feedback on that either online or in person on a Sunday. So enjoy that and we'll talk to you again soon.